Welcome back to Sunrise. We're keeping our focus on the president's trip to China. Segun Showunmi joins us this morning. He's a former Deputy Director General of PDP campaign organization in Ogun State. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well,
yes.
This investment is a continuation from at least some part of it, of what the former president did. That's a good one, isn't it? Following up on what you think is good about the previous government.
Yeah, I think the important thing that you've said, that which I totally wanted to also say, was that it is a continuation of our efforts in government. The only addition that we see that maybe we can be a little bit worried about is that the ruling party today seems to be excessively interested in undue exaggeration and excitement. These visits take place from time to time with the course of relationship with nations, and China, America, and some of these big nations are naturally interested in Nigeria because of our own unique size, and Nigerian leaders to know what their responsibility ought to be in terms of keeping the relationship, alliances, businesses, and all of that kind of things with those countries. In the past, for instance, when Jonathan, the former president, went there, some of these alliances were quietly signed, looking at rail, looking at construction, looking at some other forms of collaborations and all that. And when we came back into the country, the president immediately went straight away to go and do the local content bill, which seeks to protect Nigeria from the overdrive of some other economies. Don't forget, China itself is a big market, and it's a big producer of goods and services. And so it needs a market for itself. But how do we play in Nigeria? We need to get an arrangement that benefits both parties. Now, what you get a bit excited about, or maybe slightly worried about, is that there are diplomacy and public policy challenges that government always has to balance. For instance, Nigeria, because of our location within the globe, we're closer to the Europeans and the Americans in terms of localization and our history. China has its own agenda in the world, and it desires to come and obviously increase its own role and its reliability on the world. So therefore, there is a way you have to balance this thing. When you now have people that are easily mesmerized with foreign trips, go to China and come back and begin to scream, oh, as if the whole of our foreign policy is now going to dovetail towards China at the expense of our traditional, more reliable and far more supportive partners in the areas of Europe and America, you just know that, well, it's a play out of the way they've been running government. They leave the issues, they chase shadow, and when they finally get one red herring that they think that Nigerians can be excited about, they go to an excessive level of exaggeration. Let me remind you, when they visited America, they gave the impression that immediately after that they are observing of the guards that was mounted for them in America. The next day in the morning, the dollar will come down, all of the dollars that is in America will come to Nigeria. We found out that a few months afterwards, nothing serious has happened. Now they've gone to China. They want to try and tell us that, yes, they are going to do currency swap, and suddenly China is going to be the international clearinghouse of Nigeria, and before we know what's happening, all the Nigerians are with dollar will no longer be relevant. You know that that is childish. It is simply because there's a failure on their part to deal with the issues that are confronting them on the nation. One, they've not been able to figure out what to do with the budget, and time is running out. Two, we don't have power. We really don't have electricity. Anybody who has anything that resembles electricity is probably figuring out how to generate it by himself. Three, we can't buy petrol. Every conversation and explanation they make, the bottom line is that even when we are prepared to pay for it at market rates, which is obviously more than the fixed rate, we can't still find it. So the areas that they need to focus on is that we just pray that now that they have gone to China, they can now convince themselves that they visited everywhere they need to visit, and then focus and sit down at home and do the job they were elected to do. Yep. Strong nations, first of all, take care of their own activities at home and get their own self-reliance to be a certain level of, bring it up a bit, and then go to the world, and the world can respect them. But of course, based on their age and the kinds of ideas that they've run in the last 30-something years, they are easily mesmerized. They are running around trying to change us from a pseudo-European, follow nation to a nation follow nation. Time will tell.
Part of what a lot of people had talked about in the country when governments change is that they just want to see continuity in some of those policies. And then they say, well, I haven't seen that, oh yeah, we're picking up on what the previous government did, albeit from a different party. And investors think, okay, wait a minute, this looks like this is a good thing that we're seeing now. How significant do you think that is?
Do you know how difficult it would have been for them to even admit that they are picking up from what the previous government has done?
But government is a continuum.
Yes, we agree. We have never said government is not a continuum. We took over government from the military. We didn't spend all our time screaming that the military has done it. We just went ahead and ran government. It is good that they have finally put paid to their own lies and propaganda by saying we never did anything, our government was clueless, we don't understand governance, and now they have been confronted by the enormous work we have done, and we thank them. Especially we thank the special assistant, the senior special advisor to the president on media, Mr. Additional, who was able to admit that, oh yes, what they have done in China is a continuation of what. So we are.
But I heard a number of government officials also, not all of them say that the previous government did nothing good. No, a number of them in certain ministries say, well, yeah, we've found some things there which we worthy to continue.
Well, you see, it takes time before you can easily admit that the lies with which you told the nation that we did nothing cannot stand. And when you take on the responsibility as a minister, as a president, eventually you are going to be confronted by what's in the book. And if what is in the book suggests that we have done so much, then maybe you have no choice, especially when you are not coming up with any new creative idea on how to solve problems. You will cleverly and slowly reverse yourself and begin to give honor and recognition to the work that men did while you were not in government.